This is Spoken by Elswith, a Femdom hypnosis podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. Plus, visit my website for sessions too intense to be included here. Visit my Patreon to collect your free codes for sessions. It's good to be back here, pup. And by back here, I mean completely submerging my thoughts in all the ways that treating you more like a pet than a person can get me going. I suppose as good as any other way to get started is to recap what happened last time. And if you're thinking to yourself, what last time? What's going on? Why is this lady I barely know calling me a puppy? Well then, I'll try to get you up to speed too. Pet play is not something I really dig into too deeply in my everyday life, but I believe it's something that's very easy to dip your toes into. If you have any outside interest in BDSM, power exchange, and all of that good stuff. I have a partner with whom I naturally fall into this sort of pattern often, even without talking about it or discussing it. So as a result of daydreaming about some different scenarios, I created a set of 4 pet play stories in which a mistress and the owner of one lucky little pup was making arrangements for her pet to be looked after by several of her friends while she was away. In each of these stories, a new visitor arrives to take care of you. You know, feed you, let you out for a run around the yard, that sort of thing. Exactly how they interact with you is a matter of their own personalities and the circumstance they find themselves in. They might tease or chide you, or explore the idea of being with someone fully committed to their role. You might even find yourself interacting with their pet, if you're lucky. These were characters that I felt very comfortable with, so it was a natural process to develop their stories. But everything to do with my work ties back to hypnosis. That's what this whole project is about. For these narratives, I wanted to use mind control as a framework for tying all these stories together. And in the free session you might well have heard, I helped you understand the proper mindset of a happy, eager, obedient pup. I'm certain this made taking up your role in the stories, the ones that followed, just extra enjoyable. It might have helped you settle into the pup persona. Pupsona. Nice and straightforward, even if you hadn't even considered that type of play before. Even if your main goal is femdom erotic hypnosis, or just, interesting hypnosis, this fit the bill. And I really would love to have the same sort of success here. So in this session, I'm going to touch on some ideas around public play. It's not the most important theme in this session or the upcoming story. But before I take you into a state of trance, I felt it was necessary to share my philosophy. It's a contentious topic, and I think it's good to be on the same page. I do think that visibly wearing most over-the-top outlandish fetish gear in public is wrong most of the time. We all know there are exceptions, certain events and things that happen that people, the public, they know they're going to see what they see, right? And we also know there are things where you can wear them and enjoy them, that slip under the radar easily. Again, like I said, I know it's a contentious topic. And, those exceptions, I think they are overall easy to define. I've lived in and stayed in cities that do the thing where once a year, dozens, sometimes like hundred people, they ride bicycles on a prominent route down major thoroughfares completely naked. Well, wearing helmets, but that's just good sense, right? Now, I don't want to participate in that, mostly because when I'm cycling, I like having my certain bike shorts and so on. But I accept and I respect this activity as part of an organized and limited event. As I mentioned earlier with other things, I feel the same way about like fetish parades at pride events, the Folsom Street Fair, and all that. I mean, people who want nothing to do with any of that, they have a reasonable opportunity to just stay the fuck away. But outside of events like that, as I mentioned, there's those items that just look like alt-fashioned, chokers, collars, pretty common. You can buy strappy body harnesses in high street shops. Leather has been fine for a long, long time, but like vinyl and PVC, latex, they're all coming along and seen a bit more now. I'm not offering advice on accessorizing, by the way. But if you apply a reasonable degree of modesty to whatever you're wearing, then you know what? Have at it. And even if not, I'm not telling you what to do in that regard. But let's be honest, Lycra bike shorts are about the most revealing article of clothing a guy can wear, except like a Speedo. But you can show up in those, and please, if you have the ass to fill them, please show up at the office wearing them at 8:45 a.m. on a Monday morning, because you make a lot of lives better. But there are other things. Some can be passed off as a silly costume. If you've ever seen a stag party passing from bar to bar on the main street, you will see people dressed as anything and everything. I also think that wearing a collar and leash with someone else tugging on the handle, it can be okay in public. Not something I'm gonna do in my hometown, but as far as visible play is concerned, I think that's my limit. The furthest extension of the silly costume principle. Visible play beyond that, for me, is not appropriate. Things like making a scene, kneeling, kissing your top's feet in public, or doling out some corporal punishment, it's not okay. Simulating sexual activities is pretty damn naughty. There are so many places where you can go and live out happily, and all the bystanders are willing and there for a similar reason. So we don't need to shock the 80-year-olds out doing the grocery shopping, do we? Anyway, these new sessions, they talk about taking an evening walk in the park. They don't insist upon any particular mode of dress, but you will picture something modest. They don't ask you to imagine humping my leg while waiting in line for a hot chocolate. From that guy whose espresso machine is mounted on the back of an electric tuk-tuk. And even though I wouldn't mind visibly walking you on a leash, as long as you stay on 2 feet, I don't even ask for that kind of exhibitionism. I definitely have something more discreet in mind, and I'll explain in a moment. For now, let's just take another moment to get comfortable. You might already have been sitting down, but it's now time to be in a position that's perfect for continued focus. Go ahead and roll out any lingering tension in your shoulders or neck. Figure out where you're going to put your hands. Maybe neatly intertwining your fingers in your tummy, reminding you to breathe in deeply. Concentrating on a few of those breaths now. Drawing in a deep lungful of fresh air, feeling your abdomen expanding, then out again, being very much conscious of what's pushing that air back out, exactly where you're relaxing. In again. This is good and easy. Back out. Well done. Breathe in and try to fixate on this rhythm a while. Out again. And as I carry on speaking, as you keep on listening, just allow yourself to breathe in this steady rhythm. It requires no conscious effort. So rather than letting what I'm saying just wash over you, you can instead focus all your attention on what I'm saying. And when you do, it's going to feel so good. So good to give me your attention. So good to show me how obedient you are. Sometimes you might hear someone speaking to you, starting to lead you down into trance. And they'll say something like, "Notice how you're feeling more relaxed. Notice how you're feeling more relaxed. Notice how you're becoming more willing to listen to my suggestions. Now, today, I'm not going to tell you this. I don't want you to pay attention to how you're feeling. I just want you to follow me and realize how easy it is to fall into the patterns and behaviors that I expect. I want you to imagine coming for a walk with me. Sometime in the future that might be a walk with a destination, but right now it's going to be a big circle, a big loop. First, imagine the front of my house. You can picture it however you like, whatever's comfortable and easy. For this daydream, I see something like a brick-built British terrace, what I would have called a townhouse growing up. The tall bay windows suggest high ceilings inside, and there are countless details that hint that it was built in the late 1800s. But that's my daydream, as someone who loves to pick out those tiny architectural details. If there's something else that's easier for you, then imagine that instead. You just need to imagine that we are in a town. So no ranch in the middle of Montana. You know that it's going to be a short walk to the park, and you can picture that park right now. Even though we aren't there yet, you can know something about it. It's a city park or a town, the sort people will walk through because they're on their way somewhere else. There will be a good-sized open area that's marked out with soccer or football pitches. There's likely a play area that's surrounded by its own fence. Wherever this green space is bordered by a road, there are 2 rows of tall trees to keep traffic in its place. only going to check in with you once or twice. I know I told you that I wasn't going to ask you to notice. Notice that you're slipping into trance for me. I just want it to happen without you noticing. But I do want you to pay attention to how carefully you're listening to me as I speak to you. Just that much. I like your attention. Once upon a time, you might remember me telling you all about the trappings of being my good little pup. The list is pretty simple. Collar, ears, tail, floor, toys, fetch, treats, bowl, humping, and sniff, lick, whine. They're all so easy and so achievable for you. So many things are just things you wear. Others are simple expectations that speak to your base needs. Eating, drinking, pleasing me. Here's something I'd like. Something that goes with all the above, that is especially connected to us being out and about. Right now, you can imagine that we've taken that short walk to the park, and now we've made it there together. Do you know something that I would like to see from you? It's called checking in. It's such a good skill for playful pups to learn. Just imagine that every few minutes, as we're out in public, that you can look at me. It should be so easy to look at me. If you get ahead of me, you can even imagine turning all the way around to catch my eye, just briefly. You're being such a good boy every time you do this. You're looking for my smile, looking for my reassurance. And you do know how to read my expression, how to read it well enough that if you're straying too far, that if you're pushing boundaries or showing a poor temperament, then you will be aware of my displeasure. Training a pet like you is so much more pleasurable than teaching an animal, because I can just speak directly to you and tell you what my expectations are. I expect you to be feeling very open by now. I expect you to be hanging on my every word, not just recognizing the ones that mean something to you, so that you can be pleasantly obedient when you catch an important command, but instead open to every word I speak. Open to every word I speak to you, being ready to obey my suggestions. If I tell you to sit as we pass a bench, it should be easy to do just that. We should be able to sit and watch passers-by, and I should be able to rely on your patience. Or perhaps I stop walking to watch some folks kicking a football, or simply to admire the blossom petals falling from the trees in a gentle breeze. Perhaps you get ahead of me a few yards, not realizing I've stopped. When you hear me call out your name, when I say, Come back, dear, in that merry way you're used to. Then coming all the way back to my side should be easy. You wouldn't dream of waiting for me to catch up. Returning to me is what I asked for, and you're eager to please. When you're good, when you do exactly as I'd like, you get a little kiss on the cheek, the kind that promises more later. When you've been exceptional, this is the perfect time to whisper more exacting, more explicit promises. I can time these little whispers so that no one overhears, and you can know it's safe to answer back with a sweet little barking noise, or occasionally a grumbly growl when my ideas aren't too appealing. And you can trust me to interpret these little puppy gestures. You can trust me to make sure no one can overhear you. You can trust me completely, so you can follow each of my suggestions without fear or trepidation. You can relax into that. Make it an easy new habit for yourself. Just hearing what I say and knowing it's safe and that you can obey. I can easily imagine playing this game around people, with your collar mostly out of sight, no leash, and no floppy ears on your head. I wouldn't feel like a spectacle. And you? Well, you look just like a particularly attentive and affectionate guy. Someone who's considerate and sure, just a little deferential. A touch submissive, but that's okay. Many people might pick up on that aspect without being able to put a name to it. It's fun to be hidden in plain sight, don't you think? I told you our evening walk was going to end up being a circuit, a loop around the park and back home. Soon, when I think you're set in your well-behaved ways, we can walk to different places. And in some of those places, you might encounter people who see you for what you really are. You might find yourself in a location where you can be fully yourself. We can discard any considerations about public play when you are around my friend's pup. You can give me sloppy kisses and pant and growl. You can curl up at my feet when you've exhausted yourself, and so much more. But for now, let's solidify some of the lessons you've learned today. The sooner you learn them, the sooner I can rely on your training. The sooner those fun trips that I've promised can become a reality. 3 times I am going to snap my fingers, and each time you will hear that sound of my fingers snapping 3 times, and each time you hear that 3rd snap, you will hear me saying something, a thought that you are able to carry with you out of this moment of shared time together. You will be able to easily accept these thoughts, these ideas, these truths as part of you, as the realities of your place as a pet. They build upon what you've learned. Good little tricks for a good little pup, and performing for me brings you a wonderful sort of satisfaction. You are not a mindless creature. You can easily and immediately obey simple commands because you can understand me when I speak, and when I tell you to sit, to come to me, to sniff, or lick or taste, you can trust that your first instinct is the correct and proper action. You can easily obey simple commands from your mistress. You can trust me to make them easy and safe to obey. When we're out, but also any other time, you find it easy to look to me to gauge my attitude towards you. We call this checking in, and doing this is an easy way to fill yourself with a sense of safety and reassurance. When you fully embrace your role, you can easily make me the center of your universe. You look to me to check in, and doing so fills you with confidence. You can allow your owner to be everything to you. You can easily imagine walking with me, held close and tight by a leash that leads to your collar. But just as easily, you can picture staying so close and so tight by an invisible thread that keeps you walking beside me, happy and content. You act well-mannered and perfectly trained on your leash, or whenever else I expect you to stay close to me. Whenever it is necessary, you can remember your puppy mindset. Whenever you need to, you can recall the most positive aspects of being a fully owned and adored pet. And whenever you need to, you can reflect on the lessons that you've learned so well for me. I'm going to repeat them all for you, all the important ones. Some I might have taught you other times, and I'm going to click my fingers before each one, too, and give you a little time to just experience how they make you feel. Whenever it is necessary, you can remember your puppy mindset. Whenever you need reassurance, you can check in with me with just a glance. When you walk with me, on the end of the leash or not, you can easily stay close like a well-behaved pup. When I give you a simple command, you can prove your trust in me with immediate obedience. Whenever you need to, you can be happy to experience being seen by others as a fully owned pet. You've done such a good job. You've been such a good pet. You've done everything I expected of you. Hit every mark on our walk. Training and exercise both are work, and work can be exhausting. It's okay to feel tired by now and be ready for some rest. But if you're thinking that you'd like to put all this training into practice and to go about your day as your best puppy self, then that is coming very soon. I'm going to bring you up and out of trance now. awake and alert, even if you're soon ready to drift off to a deep sleep. And the work that we've done, the time we've spent together, it's all worked towards making sure that whenever you need these thoughts, ideas, practices, you will be able to bring them right to the forefront of what makes you, you. But now, no matter what you're doing next, it's time to come up and out of trance. I will count all the way up to 10, and it will be right then that you'll be feeling ready for anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the way up, out of trance. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good boy. I'm so proud of you.